it's amazing how you could, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, political affiliation, I don't have an affiliation. When it comes to thoughts and ideals, I probably lean a little bit more toward the left than the right, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that there are ideas on the right that are not wrong, you know. And it's the same thing as, like, I don't necessarily think that all ideas on the left are good.
No.
And it's just when you say anything like that, when you give an inch, right? Certain people take the mile. So because you've leaned that way, you are now part of that agenda.
Right.
And then they start spitting rhetoric from just one lens. And it's like, you do realize that what you're doing right now is no different than what the people all the way far on the left are doing, which is spitting from the view of one lens. Like, you're not looking at the rest of the world here. You're looking at what's in front of you, but there's a big world beyond your nose. And I just wish those two sides would just stop villainizing everybody from everything. And I think it's super important that I kind of I vote for humans, you know, like, you know, that's why being independent is the way. Yeah, it's free thinking. But, like, you know, just to, you know, the big left agenda right now is the Epstein files, right? And what I think is super crazy is the fact that it's not also seen as a dig to the left as well. You know, it like the left is using it as a weapon toward the right. And it's like, hey, you know that it's not just the right here. Whether you're left or right, you could still be a good human. Whether you're left or right, you could still be a disgusting piece of garbage human. And something about that is completely lost. And I just don't understand it. And I don't like being called a leftard.
It's libtard, Mike. It's libtard.
Oh, it was both. It was both. Leftard and a libtard thrown in there.
I introduce myself as a libtard to my, like, when I'm talking to my far right friends. I'm like, oh no, don't pay attention to me. You know, I'm the libtard in the group.
Right. It's so crazy how just an inch people just take the mile.
I like this idea from a buddy, Joey Nunn. If you get a Democrat president, you should have a Republican vice president, and vice versa.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I've thought that for a long time. I think what's happening now is you have people that have gotten caught up in the idea of sides so much that they think we're legit in a war on both sides, and they think that you can't be nuanced and you can't look at things like, I mean, like, let's be crazy here for a minute and imagine a world where we look at policies and talk about who's talked about policy in, God, have we heard a Republican or Democrat talk about policy in a while? I mean,
it's been like 12 years.
I don't remember them actually, unless they're asked about it or forced to. It's like, you can't look at things and say on a case by case basis, well, I agree with this part of this person's position, and I agree with this part of this person's position, and I agree with this. And they don't want you to do that. The infamous they don't want you to be able to do that, because if we do that, then we're having discussions and we're able to actually vote on things and we're able to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
If they get you in this idea that it's teams and you have to accept everything that your side does, even if you don't agree with it, and if you don't necessarily agree with it, you can't let that out and you can't say it. Otherwise, you're going to be ostracized from your team, and then you're going to belong nowhere. You don't want to belong nowhere, do you? how can you possibly, disagree
Yeah.
with anyone on your side? That makes you the other side. And then just like getting distracted into arguing over whether Kid Rock's a good person or not, we get in these arguments now of, well, the other side does this, oh, and this side does this. And now we're not talking about policies. We're not talking about laws. We're not talking about actual ways to help human beings, because that's not what it's about for them.
Not the politicians, no. And
I,
that's
I
something
agree
that
wholeheartedly that it's never been left versus right, man. It's top versus bottom, and the top
that's
is getting smaller and smaller and smaller
mhm,
all the time. They
that's
don't need us. They don't even need our money anymore,
right.
right? Because we're putting everything's worried about everyone's 401ks and the stock market and everything like that. Well, guess what? Once that gets rolling, they don't need our money for anything. They don't need us to work for them anymore. They don't need. So what happens? What happens then?
Well,
What
that's
happens
what
to all of us? It doesn't matter who we're voting for. And as long as we're fighting each other on, oh, well, this person didn't the halftime show wasn't in English. If
well,
that's the topic of discussion, instead of, hey man, gas is still expensive. and,
right. Well, that's what I'm getting at here.
and,
Like that's what I'm
and
trying to
jobs,
get at with
no
this
one's
guy.
being hired anywhere. If you
It's
lose
it,
your job right now, you're screwed.
what I'm getting at with this guy is like, hey man, like you don't think that some of this stuff was thrown out there as like a, hey, like to your point, fueling my home to make it warm so I don't freeze, my family and I don't freeze to death is expensive as shit. But you know what? Super Bowl is in Spanish. Halftime shows in Spanish.